Oh, ladies and gentlemen, that was an error on my part. Sorry. But, what's up, all the people of the Sideline Sports Network airwaves? What's up, Eagles fans across the world, wherever you guys are tuning in from the show? Appreciate you guys for tuning in tonight. We have the NFL playoffs in full swing. Had wild card weekend last weekend, so we have a lot of stuff to go over for this game. But we got Lindy in the house. So what's up, Lindy?
It's good to be back, man.
We already got people in the comment section saying that they missed us. Caitlin
Yeah,
says
I know. I know.
duo.
It's
Our boy Grizz says what's up? What's up, Grizz? Silver the Barber says what's up? What's up, Silver? I gotta come get a fresh cut this weekend. I'm gonna book my appointment. But anyway, let's get to it. I guess, we might as well not waste any time since we haven't been here for a while. First thing, let's talk about some of the injuries. We didn't have Lane Johnson for the last few games of the season. Everyone knows that the Eagles team is not the same without Lane Johnson. He was voted for first team All Pro, so congrats to him. Great season for Lane. Kelsey also joined him on the first team. Hurts voted to the second team, finishing behind Mahomes, who got the first team nod. So good stuff there. But, we know the team is not the same without Lane. Lane was diagnosed with a sports hernia, only to find out that that wasn't the real injury. And there was some interviews of him on Pat McAfee's show, I believe, where he was saying that they tweeted out and it was the wrong injury. It wasn't a sports hernia. It was something with his groin. And I think Nick Bosa played through the same injury last year. So it is doable. It is doable. So I think Lane coming back is going to be huge. You also have Josh Sweat coming back. Josh Sweat had a big year, double-digit sacks. So big boost for the defense, big boost for the pass rush. So yeah, very, very good to have those guys back. But most of all, Jalen Hurts has been taken off the injury report. He's not even on there anymore. He does not seem concerned whatsoever about his shoulder injury. They were asking him all these questions about, well, what are you going to do with the Giants? Go after you, or are you going to, play your game like you usually do? Like, what's going to happen? And he was just kind of like, you know what? People are going to always go after me, so it doesn't really matter. So he doesn't really seem that concerned. The coaches don't seem concerned. So it looks like we're going to have Jalen Hurts as close to the Jalen Hurts of 100% that we've seen. So I think when you take all these things into account, you have to feel good about yourselves. Coming off the bye, coming off the rest, I think it's going to be good. Going up against a team, New York Giants, that you're very familiar with. So a lot of good stuff for the Eagles, getting some guys healthy.
I mean, we've been in this situation many a times before for as consistent as the Eagles have been getting to the playoffs as of late. Ever since winning the Super Bowl in 2017 and how we've bounced back from that kind of adversity. And, he who must not be named, number 11, going down with that double ligament tear in his knee, and the team still fighting through, losing their starting quarterback that year. 2018, they had injuries. That same quarterback goes down early a little bit later in the season again. 2019 against Seattle again, injuries once more. But this is an atmosphere that the team, Philly fans, ourselves are more than comfortable with being in, and still year in and year out, those injuries can get blown out of proportion. And whether it's people freaking out about Hurts not falling on his shoulder at practice, or the risk that Lane Johnson has taken with his injury. But I mean, like I said, man, we've been through this before. And then what you talking about the impact that these players make. Obviously, a lot of us feel that Hurts is the MVP of the league, for one. Two, you lose the best tackle, right tackle in all the football, and he's on the verge of coming back because he knows what's at stake here. This team is looking special once again. Josh Sweat, who is one of only 3 players on the Eagles roster defensively that has accumulated 10 or more sacks. He, Hassan Reddick, and Brandon Graham were the only 3 to amass 10 or more sacks. And Hassan Reddick.
We're the only team in history to have that many guys with double-digit sacks.
Exactly. And excuse me, there was did I say 3? There's actually 4.
Javon
Hargrave, Hassan Reddick had 16.
Hassan was unbelievable.
16 sacks. and I remember a few people out there in the world saying that Hassan Reddick wasn't going to be an impact player. What's that?
Did Hassan make the first team All-Pro? I'm going to check real quick.
Let me see.
Go ahead with your point. I can't remember he made first team or second.
No, he did not. Made the Pro Bowl, obviously, though. But 16 sacks for him. Josh Sweat had 11. Brandon Graham had 11. So the impact of Josh Sweat coming back, which is 25% of the main sack contributors in that, how good the pass rush is for that defense. It's a massive boost. CJ Gardner-Johnson getting healthier and healthier as he progresses going into this game. He was for surely missed, as we all know, leading the, being such an early leader in interceptions in the secondary. So, I mean, it seems at this point that everything's falling into place at the right time. And let's just continue to ride that wave against an opponent that we know very well. But let's not overestimate them at the same time.
Okay. I couldn't find it, but I know he didn't make the first team. I think he made the second team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not 100% sure, but it doesn't matter. The guy had 16 sacks. It's unbelievable. So I'm going to actually bring that up later when we talk about the keys to victory. But I think you have to be happy to have, especially these 3 guys coming back to the team, very, very healthy. So let's talk about some other stuff. Let's talk about this game. All right, so we played the New York Giants in Week 18. Won that game. The Giants didn't play their starters. The Eagles, they played a half-ass game plan or whatever you want to call it. They're running the exact same 5 plays. It was so obvious. It was so obvious that they were not taking the game seriously, and they didn't have to get the win, which is why they did it. And they were just kind of trying to ease Jalen Hurts back into stuff. So Jalen Hurts probably going to be playing at a much higher level than what he was in that game. So I'm looking at this game and I'm saying, just like you said, this is a team that we know so well. But what are some matchups that we can really exploit? Look back at the game that we played in the Meadowlands. That game, Daniel Jones was in hell. He did not know what to do. We were talking about Hassan Reddick and all the boys, double-digit sacks this year. I'm smashing on the over on 5+ sacks for the Eagles defense. I think that when you look at what Minnesota was doing, their defense was really getting exposed the entire time. It was actually pretty sad to watch. A lot of people had the Giants winning that game because of who Minnesota is. We all know that Minnesota's habitual chokers. Them and the Chargers, who were up 27-0, and they lost. So shout out to Doug Peterson for getting the job done over there. But this was I was shocked by how bad the Minnesota defense was. I thought Kirk Cousins was going to choke, which I guess you can say that he did. He threw a pass way behind the sticks on 4th down. That was stupid. But this Eagles defense is not like that. The Vikings defense had 38 sacks. The Eagles defense had 70 sacks. We have multiple guys double-digit sacks this year. So I think the key to winning this game is just get pressure on Daniel Jones and make him get the ball out of his hands before he wants to. And if you do that, he's probably going to make a mistake. And we gotta account for his ability to run because he was running all over the Vikings. We cannot allow that to happen. So what I think we need to do is we need to get Nakobe Dean in this game. We need to get Nakobe Dean. We gotta put him on the spy because we all know he has the speed and athletic ability to make stuff happen. And then on offense, just take care of the ball. Don't win the turnover battle. Don't turn the ball over. Play efficient ball in the red zone. Run the ball. Don't put all the pressure on Jalen Hurts to like throw for 500 yards. He does not need to throw for 500 yards or 400 yards to beat this team. Give the ball to Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders was one of our go-getters this year. He said in an interview that he wants to come back to Philly. He says that they were asking him about his contract situation, and he was just like, I love Philly. I want to be here. So I think for the playoffs, he wants to show up and show out and try to win a Super Bowl. So I think rely on the run game. Let the run game set up some passes. Just play our game like we've been doing the whole year. We've had a lot of success against the Giants over the years. I think the Eagles are going to do everything they can and more to get the job done and advance the NFC Championship.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you bring up the Vikings and the Giants and the Vikings game, and I think we knew. I don't want to say from the very beginning, but I think we knew maybe around halfway, 60%, 2/3 into the season that they seemed fraud-ish. And it was more so on the defensive side of the football because of if you looked at how the Eagles were able to take advantage of them in week 2, 24-7. I mean, the Vikings and Kirk Cousins were able to do absolutely nothing. Had 264 total yards of offense to our 486. So, I mean, on an off game for the Eagles offensively, they were able to amass 486 total yards of offense. And we only scored 24 points because the majority of those were in the first half. Then you get to this game with the Giants and the Vikings that we've seen, and Minnesota really not getting the job done. Kirk Cousins actually, by the numbers, outplayed Daniel Jones. It was close in terms of QBR between 85 to 81, so you can say he got outplayed a little bit.
Daniel Jones played a pretty good game. I got to give him credit.
He did. Both quarterbacks did very
well. Kirk Cousins didn't necessarily play bad. I'm just saying like that. If you're in that situation and it's 4th and 8, you throw like a pass like 3 yards and you're like way behind the sticks. That's one of the stupidest things you can do.
Yeah.
So that's why it took.
Yep. It takes that one play to make the rest of the game not matter because you need that play when it comes crunch time, that's the play that you absolutely need, and they couldn't get it done. But overall, both quarterbacks only had fewer than 9 incompletions. Kirk Cousins was at 8 to Daniel Jones 9, 24 of 35 for 301 to Kirk Cousins 31 of 39 for 273. So you can already tell whose defense had the better day because while, Kirk Cousins looks good on paper in terms of QBR, he's only averaging about 7 yards an attempt versus Daniel Jones that's almost at 9 at 8.6. So he's actually doing something in terms of moving the football. And then statistically for both teams, where did it kill the Vikings in losing this game that was still a close one, although they crawled their way back. They were still down 14-7 at the end of the first quarter. First downs by running the football. The Giants had 11. They were 7 of 13 on third down. Vikings were 4 of 10. Again, as many of us know how important the money down is in football. if you can't convert at a more consistent clip, you're not going to have as many chances. And that's where, the Giants prevailed. Vikings could not keep up because their defense can't get off the field enough. So again, Giants had, they didn't sack Kirk Cousins a single time either. So Giants had 3 sacks, I believe, for a loss of 12. Both teams were pretty decent in terms of penalties. Time of possession was very close, but overall, where this ties into our matchup, the Eagles versus the Giants, is that, well, we have plenty of homework to go up against this football team to begin with, number one. Number two, our defense is far superior to the Vikings defense. Number three, our offense is far superior to the Vikings offense. The Eagles came in at the end of the year as the 3rd best offense and the 8th best defense.
I don't even think the Vikings have a single player that's better than at their position besides Jefferson than any of the players on our team.
That's pretty true. That's
not even a knock for Devontae and AJ. Jefferson is just that good. But overall, the Vikings team, it's kind of like what Grizz said. Vikings are chokers, just like we knew they would be. We pretty much knew. It's pretty sad because the Giants are not that good of a team, but it's pretty sad that we pretty much knew this was going to happen. Mm-hmm. We pretty much.
So if we take this, and you talked about us having to be good in red zone efficiency. Eagles have been fantastic all year. The Eagles were 3rd in red zone efficiency at 68%. Red zone touchdowns, they had 40 on 59 attempts. So we know how to take care of business in the red zone offensively and defensively because the Eagles were the 12th best red zone defense all year. So we already have a good idea on knowing our opponent. Again, the first matchup, week 14, they get steamrolled 48-22. We almost put up a 50 burger on 437 total yards against this Giants defense. It was a mix of the run.
End of the game.
Yeah. So it was a mix of the rush and the pass. So that's a good thing to see. Rushing, we had 253 to 184 passing. So it's pretty much what the Vikings weren't able to do against the Giants is stop the run. So we're in similar territory here against the Giants. Now
that you're talking about this game, the first game against the Giants, it just makes me laugh because you remind me of something that I saw earlier. There's a tweet by a Giants fan that was saying how Eagles fans are acting cocky because they said they would like to play the Giants in the divisional round because it's a favorable matchup and it's a team that we know very well. And he's like, oh, well, you guys forgot that you just barely beat our backups. And I'm just sitting here your backups actually played us better than your starters did, right? That's not good. You lost 48-22, bro. I don't know. I don't know what you're trying to do here, but yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
I think the key thing here that Eagles fans need to remember is that we're not going to see, in terms of strategizing, play calling, etc. They're not going to match the first 2 games that we had against the Giants. This is the playoffs. This is playoff territory. You're going to get the best of the best out of every single team in the playoffs, unless
you're the Chargers.
Unless you're the Chargers, or we can forget about that Cowboys and Buccaneers matchup because Tom Brady looked like he needed to retire that game. So
whoop their ass. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might actually rather play Dallas than play the 49ers because 49ers are really good. But I see what you're trying to say here. But Grizz brought up Boston Scott, who is known as the Giant Killer. He's got 17 career touchdowns in his career. 10 of them came against the New York Giants. It's actually insane when you think about it. So when the people were interviewing Wink Martindale, the defensive coordinator of the Giants, he was basically saying how he doesn't think that Boston Scott is a Giant Killer. And it's just like, bro, if you don't think that he's a Giant Killer, you haven't been watching what he does to the Giant. Boston Scott, he's a decent player. He's a good role player. He's a good change of pace back to have on the team. Play a little bit of special teams. Had a really good kickoff return against the Giants in that first game. But you know what, man? It kind of blows my mind that he always plays like that against the Giants. But I've never seen him do that against any of the other 31 teams in the NFL. Like, I'm just like, he has something personal against the Giants. So I think that's a good thing. So with that, I feel like this is a good way to segue into who do we think are going to be the biggest impact players of this game. You want to go first?
Biggest impact players. Whew, that's a good one. I think
We'll do one offense, one defense.
One offense and one defense. Okay, that's interesting. Offensively, I have to think Dallas Goedert on this one, solely because of the fact that he wasn't near the impact that the receivers were in the first 2 games against the Giants. Although, do we even want to count the last game against the Giants in the first place? Because I know where Giants fans are going with that, because it's the same thing that we said when we had to go to Jerry World with our third stringers and everything last year, and they were still trying to beat their chests about us getting curb stomped by Dallas when they played our practice squad. But that's not the here nor there. If we remember in that dominance that we had in Week 14 against the Giants, it was primarily about Devontae Smith and AJ Brown in terms of receiving yards. Dallas Goedert was barely featured in that game, and as far as defensive personnel goes for the Giants, I don't think they have anybody to contain him whatsoever. So being that he's now healthy and came back from injury pretty strong, you got Hurts nursing that shoulder. He's still in good shape. He's building it up again. I think those two together, along with the receivers, need to have a monster game, especially in aspects of if the run game doesn't work. Dallas Goedert can run over anybody on that field. And I still think he gets underappreciated in the top tight ends of the NFL. So people better watch what they say about him. And that's just me.
I can see that. And the reason why is because when you look at this team, out of all our skill position players, if you had to pick one player, which player do you think would scare the defensive coordinators the most out of just the skill positions? If you had to pick one guy. Probably AJ, isn't it? So this is what I'm thinking. He's worried that AJ is gonna destroy them again, even though Devontae was also destroying them. AJ Brown is like a physical beast. That's why they always say. That's why he says that he's always open, because even when he's like really covered really well, he's probably still gonna make the catch. So I feel like for Martindale, what he's gonna try to do is he's going to try to blitz Jalen Hurts a lot, and even when he's not doing that, he's gonna try to focus on AJ Brown. I think he's going to focus on AJ Brown too much. So either Smitty or Goddard is going to end up going off because of that. So that's what I'm thinking. Like, you're putting all your eggs in one basket. Be careful what you wish for, because this team has a lot of weapons, a lot more than Minnesota.
Well, even defensively, they weren't able to do that in Week 14, and I don't think we even had Dallas Goedert that game. So, I mean, between AJ and Smitty, that's just absolutely ridiculous. Um, defensively, defensively, I would love to see James Bradbury slap them in the face again for
That would be
him getting
something.
released. I would love to see that again, but I think we're going to see CJ Gardner Johnson ball out
Mm,
just because of how much he was
that's what I was
missed
going to pick.
in that secondary. Um, and then this is going to open up what Jonathan Gannon is able to do again because of the limitations that he had with the combination of having to put Josiah Scott out there,
Yeah,
Reed
Maddox being not
Blankenship.
really close.
Although Reed Blankenship is not terrible, he's not a terrible player, and
I've been
he's
impressed with
seen
Reed.
yes, but when you have
He's really good at
somebody
tackling
better,
too.
that's the point. When you have somebody better, you lose them for an extended period of time. That just limits a lot of what
So, what do you think about
Gannon can do
playing CJ
defensively.
at the nickel and letting Blankenship play the safety? What do you think about that?
No, CJ is too much of a threat in terms of being being out there to help in pass defense.
He is, but how
For
much of a
coverages.
liability is Josiah Scott in that slot position? Is that something the Giants are going to exploit? Because that's kind of what happened in that Cowboys game. The whole turning point in that game on Christmas Eve was when Maddox went out because Maddox was balling out in that game. Maddox was playing so great in that game. He goes out, he gets hurt, and then that's when the Cowboys started moving CeeDee Lamb. He put him in the slot, and he just completely exploited that matchup. So that is a matchup that's something that concerns me. What is Josiah Scott gonna do, and what is Jonathan Gannon gonna do to put him in a better position, knowing that he's a guy that doesn't have a lot of experience like these guys do, especially in the playoffs. So what are you gonna do to help him out? Got to do something. So I don't know what he's gonna do. I don't know if he's gonna move CJ around, but I think that is probably the best bet because we do not really have a lot of options. If we had Maddox, then we probably wouldn't even be having this conversation. But it is something that I'm a little concerned about.
It's to be that's fair. That's absolutely fair. I do feel a little more at ease though because of the fact of CJ being back in there. That allows Jonathan Gannon to regulate some of his defensive packages again, especially
CJ
if you have, especially when he has Reed Blankenship out there, and you don't necessarily have Reed out in certain coverage plays. He's very good on the field in terms of the run. I love that he's an aggressive tackler, just not when he's getting trucked by the backup Giants quarterback. Not that kind of situation I don't want to see again. But yeah.
Yeah, that was
that was bad.
That was ugly. That was ugly. I don't want to.
That was as bad as
he wanted during the broadcast. They kept saying how he was like this close to becoming a coach. Like there was a team. I don't remember what team it was, but there was a team that was going to hire him as their quarterbacks coach. I think it was the Rams or somebody wanted him. So yeah, I don't even want to talk about how a dude that was this close from becoming an assistant coach was running over Reed Blankenship. But I love Reed. Like ever since Reed came in, like I remember, I think it was against the Green Bay game. In the Green Bay game was when he first came in. He got an interception on Aaron Rodgers. So Reed, ever since he got his chance, man, he's been doing some good stuff. So I actually really love to see it. So yeah, CJ was going to be my pick, but I'm gonna probably give it to Hassan Reddick. just like I said in the beginning of the show, I think the pass rush is going to really have a major impact on this game. Our pass rush is so much more deadlier than the Minnesota pass rush. So I think Reddick, Graham, Cox, Sweat, even Jordan Davis, Hargrave, they're going to get after Daniel Jones and they're going to force him to make some mistakes. So I think that CJ and these guys are going to kind of play off of each other, whether it's CJ, whether it's Slay, whether it's Bradbury, which Slay's been struggling. So we need to see. I think Darius Slay needs to come out and have a big game, get an interception, get a pick six or something, and get his confidence back where we need it to be. But I think the secondary and the passers are going to play off of each other. And then offensively, I don't know, man. It's kind of hard to pick. I really feel good about Goddard, though, just based off of what I said earlier. I think that of all our players, AJ probably scares you the most. AJ had almost 1,500 yards receiving this year, broke the franchise record and everything. So I feel like he's gonna try to like put too much attention on AJ and put too much attention on Jalen Hurts, which I don't think this is a good idea if you're the Giants. You're worrying too much about, oh, we're gonna do this and we're gonna go after Jalen Hurts' shoulder. You're basically trying to put a bounty on a guy instead of trying to put the team in the position to win the game. Because I feel like if you're just, oh, we're going to get Jalen Hurts. Listen, Lane Johnson is there. Malata is there on those tackles, man. I do not think they're going to just let these guys get a hand on Jalen Hurts. So, I don't know, man. I don't think it's a good idea to just focus on trying to injure Jalen Hurts. I don't think that's how you're going to be able to beat us, especially with Lane Johnson's coming back. If Lane Johnson was out, then yeah, I might be saying something else. But he's not. And Lane, he seems confident. So I'm very glad to have him back. But what do you think about all that I just said?
No, you're totally on point with a lot of it. Do you still have your over under at over 5 sacks against the Giants? In week 14, we had 4.
I think at least 5. We're gonna get the Daniel Jones.
You're still going with 5? Okay.
Going 5.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's true though, because of Josh Sweat coming back. He's gonna be on another level, man.
Josh Sweat's a beast.
Yeah, he's gonna be on another level.
Thanks for tuning in.
I had another point that I was going to bring up, but
if you need time to think,
I'm trying to think of it. Yeah,
let's hold that thought. And now we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back in about 35 seconds, guys. LinkedIn podcast, part of the Sideline Sports Network. Make sure you guys check out all the other cool shows. I will be on the Sports Arena tonight at 10 p.m. With Eric and all the boys to talk about the NFL playoffs and everything. So excited about that. So, Lindy, did your thoughts come back to you, or do we need to move on to something else?
No, I was gonna say in terms of, you know, it doesn't seem like we're putting a whole lot on the return of Jalen Hurts, because I think we know at this stage.
How concerned are you about Jalen Hurts on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'm at probably about a 6. And I think that's the fairest. I think that's the fairest number that you can give. Anytime you see as an opponent a player going through a specific injury, especially when it pertains to the quarterback. Not to say that there's going to be malice out of that, but you're going to do what you can to limit said player. Being that Hurts has gone through this shoulder injury, you already brought up the fact of Martindale is a coordinator that is not afraid to blitz you. For as many years as
I think
we've
the Giants are
watched
going to
him
blitz us a lot.
for as many years as we've watched him over at the Baltimore Ravens, he still has the personnel with the Giants to get after the quarterback. Brian Dable, the head coach, knows Jalen Hurts very well from their short stint of years together at Alabama. He knows what Hurts is very capable of doing. He's watched him on 2 occasions now. So,
But Hurts is a completely different animal than when he was with Alabama.
He is. He absolutely is. So, yeah, I mean, this is going to be a catch-22 for as often as Martindale is going to want to blitz Hurts. Just because he knows he's going to leave his secondary on islands with with less protection, less coverage out there for these receivers to really take advantage. And we know how shifty and quick Devontae Smith can be in the short field. AJ Brown, just a physical specimen. Dallas Goedert, another physical specimen. I do also need to see a plentiful amount of Miles Sanders if Wink decides to back off. The run game absolutely needs to establish, and Jalen Hurts cannot be at the forefront of that. You're going to have a battle of running backs this game. Saquon Barkley looked pretty good against the Vikings, and it's against the Vikings team that we knew their run defense is not good at all. They do not have a good run defense. The Eagles have struggled with that as well. So, but being that we have home field advantage throughout the playoffs, it's the Giants are going to have a tough time playing at the Linc'd, especially in a playoff atmosphere. And if we can get the run game going early, Miles start averaging anywhere from 4 to 6 yards a carry on first down, or putting him in there on a second down situation for a 3rd and short, where the Eagles are very deadly at that. Yeah, the Giants are going to have little chance of winning this football game. So I would have to say my initial prediction was the Eagles were going to win by at least 2 scores. And I think I'm going to stick with that. Yes.
Official prediction. So what are we thinking? 27-17, 34-20, 2 touchdowns, 10. Like what are we thinking here?
I have 28-14.
Okay. All right. My opinion about Jalen Hurts and his shoulder injury. Am I that concerned about it? Not really. I am a little concerned, but it's like I need to see what he does.
You seem to be where I am right now at about a 6 out of 10.
I need to see what he does because
my
heart and my head is telling me the dude's going to be fine and everything is like being overblown. But if I can see him, take off and run the ball and be fine, I guess, then I ain't tripping about it. But I don't want to see him do anything stupid. I don't want to see him take hits that he doesn't need to take. So get out of bounds and slide. That's what I want to see you doing because we know that he has so much value to the team. If we're trying to win the Super Bowl, we're not going to win the Super Bowl with a backup. Okay, we're not going to win the Super Bowl with Minshew. Minshew's not Nick Foles. We all know that. from the games that we saw Minshew playing this season. So just protect yourself and be smart. Like that's all that I want to see. If I had to put on a scale once, and I don't know. I'm probably in the middle. I'm probably hovering around a 5 or 6. 5 or 6. And then, but after I see that first series, I think that'll tell me what I need to know. And I don't think these big boys on the O-line are gonna be messing around. I don't think they are. I think they're gonna come prepared. I think they know that they're gonna be going after Jalen Hurts, and they're gonna be blitzing a lot. And I think we're gonna have a really good, solid game plan, especially on offense. So my score prediction, I got Eagles 27-13. Handle the business. Go on to the NFC Championship game. So before we wrap this show up, there's one other thing that I want to talk about. It's stupid. It's stupid, but we like to have fun on the Sideline Sports Network. We like to have fun. If you guys also watch the Gauntlet, you guys know that. So this is what's been going on this week. There was an interview. Can't remember if it was. I think it was on Monday. Nick Sirianni was saying how he and the Eagles coaching staff was hanging out at the Eagles facility or whatever, and they're all hanging out together. And Nick, the reason why I like Nick, he's so stupid. He's so stupid that you gotta love him. He's just like, I was just sitting in there and I was craving some Pizza Hut, so the guy ordered Pizza Hut. And you have all these Giant fans on social media that are getting all upset about it, and they're like, like this guy's trying to disrespect us. He's saying that, they're just having a little pizza party while they're watching it. Like, what do you expect the man to say? Like, you expect him to be a boring, lame, no personality coach. That's not who he is. He's always been a goofy guy. I mean, even last year, this guy was making us cringe. We were like 2-6 or whatever. And he's over here talking about flowers. And I was at that point of the season, I stopped watching all his interviews for the rest of the season, but they started winning games. But he's talking about flowers. So Nick has done such a great job coming in. It wasn't the best situation, with Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson, which I'm glad Doug has found some success winning a playoff game over there in Jacksonville. I don't really think it was all his fault how things ended, but we can talk about it all day. But Nick has done such a great job coming into a crappy situation that was left behind by the previous circumstances. And, Giants fans they're just looking for a reason to be angry. It would be different if he said something about the Giants, about how he beat them twice or whatever, or something like that. But he didn't, bro. He's just like, you know what? We're hanging out. We're having a good time. I was just craving some Pizza Hut, which Pizza Hut is the greasiest, crappy pizza that you can get. It's like, it's like you have all these good places in Philly you can get a pizza from, and this is what you go with? I don't know. It wouldn't be my decision, but I don't make the decisions. I'm not the coach. So I just think the Giant fans they're looking for something to be upset about. And it is pretty hilarious.
Why do we always have to be in a position to feel there's a competition in the NFC East for the most obnoxious fan base? Because that's what it seems like.
Finding something to cry about. I think they need to do something with their life. I mean, you just want a playoff game, you should be happy, but you want to find a reason to be upset. It's just pretty hilarious.
I mean, what were Vikings fans doing up until the NFC Championship game, and how bad it backfired? Be careful what you wish for.
They're doing stuff to the Rocky statue. They're doing a stupid little whatever this is. The skull thing is, bro. The skull thing is the dumbest. I don't even know what's the point. like Vikings are supposed to be like this big, like strong warriors. What time have you ever seen a Viking like doing some stuff like this? Like I've never seen it in my life. I don't see what's. You can't tell me that the skull chant is not the dumbest chant in sports. Nothing even comes.
You looked like you were about to dance to YMCA.
Terrible.
Oh my god!
That's also probably a reason why they lost. Until they get rid of the skull chant, I don't think they're gonna win a Super Bowl. Either get rid of the skull or keep getting smoked in the wild card round. It's your decision.
That game happened in Philly. Vikings had to come to Philly, and I don't know. Vikings, I don't know.
Yeah.
The Giants fans should know better. They should know better. I'm surprised we're not hearing stuff about them mocking it's a Philly thing, but okay.
They probably will. I want to get me one of those hoodies though. Like those hoodies were pretty sweet. The ones,
right? Yeah.
I kind of want to get me one, but yeah, guys, divisional round of the NFL playoffs. This is our predictions.
14 years waiting.
Yeah. The Eagles are also undefeated at home in the divisional round. I think they're like 3-7 on the road or something in the divisional round, but they're undefeated at home. So that is good in our favor. So good stuff. Good stuff tonight. It was a great episode coming back for the Silent Sports Network for the LinkedIn podcast. We will be back next week, hopefully celebrating a win and on our way to the NFC Championship. But Wendy, is there anything you want to add before we get off?
No, I don't got much else to add other than hopefully the undefeated does not jinx us like it did Tom Brady. So,
well, I mean, at the same time, the Giants are undefeated against the number 1 seeds in the playoffs. So,
okay, somebody's got to lose.
Somebody's got to get a jinx. It ain't gonna be me. I feel good. But as we say, we get off the show. With everyone here at the Sideline Sports Network, we thank you guys for your time, for your patience, and most of all for your love of the LinkedIn podcast. LinkedIn country, let's ride.